A warm welcome to my English-speaking audience. Today I want to give a summary of my book Fatal Design from the year 29. The book is not already in English published. We provide the English edition, but I will give you a survey about all the contents of the book in reading the summary and giving you an impression of that, what I want to transport with the book about evolution, evolution philosophy and religion philosophy. It starts with the introduction and then I will read a summary of each chapter. This book, The Fatal Design, combines the theory of synthetic Darwinism with ideas of cognitive science and artificial intelligence. It sides with Richard Dawkins, Daniel Dennett, Hans Moravec, Marvin Minsky, and Ray Kurzweil, thus declaring the intention of an anti-Weizenbaumian. Moreover, the author makes a point of discussing and contradicting recent attempts of anti-Darwinism, like Darwin is dead, nature is cooperative, or the selfish genes do not exist. The book deals with evolution, with the origin and the development of life. It reflects the genesis of harm and death as well as the immortality of human consciousness, and it is not free from provocative thoughts. Idyllic beliefs are unmasked repeatedly. This is necessary for getting a clear idea of the processes in nature. Maybe the typical diction of biologists will be missed, especially in posterior chapters. And the question may come up how philosophy of religion, creation and omnipotence, consciousness, free will and even total institutions, a term from sociology, are related to evolution. In fact, there is a close connection. One essential theory of the book implies the mimetic evolution will take the place of genetic evolution and that human consciousness is to be seen as a new capacity of nature. Moreover, the phenomenon of self-canalizing evolution as the driving force behind evolutionary progress of living organisms is discussed from multiple points of view. Evolution is omnipresent, self-canalizing. Its purpose is deceptive and reveals only in retrospect. In fact, evolution is following standardized criteria, affecting the germline, such as duplication, variation, selection and isolation. And the first chapter is named The Flower Meadow. Nature is cruel, or to be more specific, the mode of operation in nature may be described as cruel, considering the structure of food chains, for example. Cooperation in nature is restricted to rudiments and remains strictly functional. Human consciousness is essential for making it intentional. Heterotrophic processes, in terms of using complex organic matters for producing energy, are mainly characterized by a complex network of rivalry and exploitation, thus being universal for nature and the natural mechanisms of evolution. As living organisms communicate with their environment by sensoria, excessive stimuli cause negative emotions. Consequently, natural interaction is not based on deliberate cooperation, but on structural energetic exploitation. This fact is the main source of harm in our world and can be observed very clearly in a flower meadow, where insects follow these very cruel mechanisms of evolution. The next chapter is the paradox of the blind golfer. The aspect of implausibility is grounded in history. Jacques Monod emphasized coincidence within evolution and considered it a driving force. However, as the term coincidence was misinterpreted frequently, it regularly caused fear and even bewilderment. Time and mass were underestimated, which facilitated the idea of created humans, of a teleonomic principle, of a purposeful direction, and of a great aim. These ideas helped to modify the unpleasant feeling of being forsaken and to feel in good hands and secure, like a toddler who feels the protective hands of his parents when he wakes up in the dark. This is the great anthropocentric illusion. We want to be essential. In consequent perception, we must follow up this idea even further. Not only morphologic restrictions of development represent constraint and necessity, but also coincidence itself, being a phenomenon of astronomically large numbers and therefore in a way turning its essence into the opposite. However, the mode of implementation, the gradual development of cells, organs, living organisms, the myriads of genetic codes, is and will remain historically unique. The paradox of the blind golfer intends to show how unlikely the development of life on our planet has been. As unlikely as a blind golfer might hit a hole in one. However, implausibility turns into necessity if one considers the big number of blind golfers, which were involved in chemical and cellular evolution, as well as the time frame and the incredible numbers of trials. The next chapter is named Mediocrity is Winning. In summary, the following theses are essential for understanding evolution. The survival of the fittest. The core statement of Darwinism must be qualified. During evolution, not only the ones that fit best to survive, but all organisms that fit well enough to succeed in sexual reproduction, if sexual reproduction is possible. Consequently, also characteristics that may be damaging or at least useless under certain conditions are passed on. This pool of junk may be beneficial under new living conditions. Damaging characteristics may turn into favorable ones. So if we want to understand speciation, we must assume a great amount of ancient padding, which is important because of its pre-adaptative potential. Consequently, evolution does not support the best, but all the ones that are just good enough to succeed in reproduction. Actually, it is like in school, the ones who get marks from 1 to 4 pass the exam. The ones with the 5 will fail. However, nature is a rigid and capricious teacher and tends to distribute bad marks. According to current knowledge, evolution is best defined as an omnipresent but non-intentional process. An intentional process would be more unerring and less woolly, and on the whole less fraught with needless features. At least evolution shows no indication of any kind of well-meaning purpose. However, in retrospect, evolution as a long-term but historic process is revealing logically trends which easily can be mistaken for intention. Evolution results in consistent further development of living organisms. However, explicit progress in terms of teleonomic value cannot be deduced. Further development frequently is achieved by secondary implication, by stagnation, or by excessive size, as long as useless features are not eliminated by stringent mechanisms of selection. Nevertheless, significant progress is shown with regard to complexity of information progressing spiral. Moralizing statements based on evolution are definitely not possible. Evolution is absolutely neutral and happens regardless to the creatures that fall victim to its mechanisms. In fact, the cruelty of evolution is immanent in nature. Although an anthropocentric term, cruelty, is achieving objectiveness by cross-linking a vast number of subjective natural fates. Competition between the variously equipped wrappings that are built around the gonads results in a fierce and incessant fight for energetic resources. Moral originates only through reflection and is justified in itself. Evolution per se does not provide guidelines, neither positive or negative ones. Moral is human convention, useful human convention. For facilitating life, it can by no means be affiliated to nature, except to our own nature, based on binding drive, caregiving behavior, and empathy. Neither can racism, cruelty, and indifference within human beings be put down to nature. In view of moral conventions, such intentions reduce themselves in absurdity and are condemned as false by human intellect. Insofar, Bertrand Russell, the famous philosopher, is right in saying that with regard to our present knowledge, optimistic philosophy cannot be based on evolution. One may add, not on evolution, but on the development of our knowledge that makes us understand evolution and generate moralistic principles for ourselves. And the next video clip is continuing with the next chapter, and this chapter is called The Ocean of Time.